Good morning, everyone. Department of good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, please.
Department of Business Studies, Sardar Patel University welcomes all participants of this webinar today on financial skills and COVID-19. The first 4 months of 2020 has been difficult, and rest of 2020 would be different with lot of uncertainty for sure and unconventional things to do. The COVID-19 has brought 360-degree changes in our life. As educators, our classes are different. The environments we live in have changed upside down. Besides health concern, there will be many more challenges like pay cut, layoffs, etc. It is difficult to predict with certainty what the future will unfold post-pandemic. Yet, every hardship also brings an opportunity, and the current pandemic is no different. It teaches all of us some important financial lessons which are undoubtedly useful for the future in the long run. Today's webinar will highlight some important financial skills one has to inculcate and put in action to sail through the financial upheaval created due to sudden disruption. With this note, I invite our Dean and Head of the Department, Professor Sandeep Bhatt sir, to welcome and introduce today's resource person of the webinar. Over to you, sir.
It gives me great pleasure to extend to you all a very warm welcome to this webinar on financial wellness and COVID-19 of Department of Business Studies, Sardar Patel University, Vallabh-Vidyanagar. On behalf of everyone at the department, university, and on my personal behalf, we have with us today the honor of having esteemed resource person, Professor K. Sukumaran. He has been serving as the Dean with National Institute of Securities Market, Navi Mumbai since 2011. Professor Sukumaran current responsibility is to anchor the programs of the School of Investor Education and Financial Literacy. Professor Sukumaran is designated as SEBI Chair Professor in Investor Education and Financial Literacy also. He is a postgraduate in Economics, MPhil, MBA, CAIIB, besides the whole postgraduate qualification in Financial Services, Bank Management and Entrepreneurship. He is a certified trainer from Women's World Banking USA. He started his career in banking industry and then shifted to specializing in capacity building. The significant position occupied by Professor Sukumaran before joining NISMRS, Principal of SIB Staff College, Director with Indian School of Microfinance, Ahmedabad, as Senior Consultant with Small Industries Development Bank of India, SIDBI. His area of interest are financial inclusion, financial literacy, and entrepreneurship. Professor Sukumaran, I once again welcome you and request you to start with your talk. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Sandeep. Yeah, please.
Just a small announcement, sir. Participants are requested to put their questions in the chat box. We'll take up questions at the end of the sessions. Thank you. Sir, you can start.
Yeah. So thank you, Professor Sandeep Bhatt, HOD and the Dean of PG Department of Business Studies, and Professor Kamini Shah, the coordinator of this program, and all the participants. At the outset, I express my sincere thanks to the PG Department of Business Studies, yes, the Sardar Patel University, and all those who have taken interest in organizing this webinar titled Financial Wellness and COVID-19 Situation. And for the sake of clarity, my presentation would be running into three parts. The first part, I would be speaking on financial wellness, a conceptual clarity on financial literacy. That would be through extempo. And then I would be passing on the situation with COVID-19 situation, its impact on economy, and a small slide on Gujarat economy also is there, and the government measures taken maybe to counter all these situations. And the third part would be the financial wellness. That means I would be discussing about the 10 commandments in this difficult situation, what to do and what not to do. So this way I would be going, and towards the end, we can spend a few minutes on question and answer session like that. So as far as the financial wellness is concerned, the financial wellness, or we can speak the other term as a financial well-being. So financial well-being is highly correlated with the financial literacy or financial education. Lot of research studies have been conducted globally in the subject financial education, and the most of the researchers have agreed a consensus, that means a good definition about the financial literacy. And globally, the accepted definition of financial literacy is given by OECD, that is Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. So they have defined financial literacy as the acquisition of knowledge, acquisition of the skills and attitude and behavior, the right thing, KSAB, knowledge, skills, attitude and behavior, so that the personal finance can be managed in a better way, and all these will lead to financial well-being. So likewise, to have, that is the best conceptual clarity that we require. For example, we can say we need knowledge. We need knowledge about the financial products. We need knowledge about the process. For example, KYC rules, etc. How to enter into a financial transaction. So all this process, knowledge on the processes, as well as the knowledge on the financial products, that will take you in a good financial situation. And that is the first part about the knowledge. Then speaking about the skills. So we can say that means financial literacy can be acquired only when online, when on-the-job training or something like that, means when somebody gets into entering into a financial transaction, for example, opening a bank account or opening a mutual fund or getting into enrolling in an insurance scheme, etc. So initially he would be having a little bit of doubt or confusion like that. Once he is habituated, for example, somebody getting under Jan Dhan Yojana, somebody getting a ATM card, and maybe he comes from a informal economy. So first 2-3 transactions, it would be difficult for him. So, but once he is habituated with the transaction of an ATM transaction, automatically that skills come into. Likewise, maybe remitting, filling up of the pay and slip in a commercial bank branch. So all these things are skill oriented. So we not only require knowledge, but also skills. Then only we can say that the right financial literacy skills have been imparted like that. Then attitude and the behavior. And of course, attitude is the positive attitude is required, and that positive attitude can be inculcated in one's mind only through some mentoring part, through some training part, through attending the workshop, financial literacy session, etc. Because we can see in the informal economy, people depending on the money lenders, even if there are good commercial bank branches, good cooperative credit society, but even then he is tempted to approach the landlords, etc. So we need a right positive attitude also. That comes under the financial literacy part. And finally, behavior, whatever the knowledge that we acquired through financial literacy, that will be converted into a behavior, maybe depending upon with the institutional agencies for lending part, getting into insurance, all these things. So we can definitely say that KSAB, that the knowledge, skills, and attitude and behavior, all these 4 elements are very crucial as far as financial literacy is concerned. And what is financial literacy? For what purpose? So financial literacy, the ultimate objective of financial literacy is financial wellness, our topic of the today. We can say that the financial well-being on fine one day, we cannot get into the financial well-being. That is a series of the planning. We can say financial planning. Under the financial literacy, whatever we studied, we get into the financial planning. And definitely towards the end of this, that the third part of this presentation focuses on more on financial planning and the personal finance planning. So in a nutshell, I would like to say that means financial literacy is the acquisition of the knowledge, acquisition of the skills, and getting into the right attitude and the behavior to manage the personal finance. The personal finance segment of a household, and that indicates your total financial assets, your total financial liabilities, your income, and your assets. So these four constitute the personal finance of a household. That personal finance of a household should be managed in a better way that will resulting into increase in your net worth, increase in your overall financial assets. You can measure that net worth of a household every year. So you should ensure that a minimum 20% taking into the inflation and a minimum 20 to 25% increase in your net worth is absolutely required. Then we can say that financial wellness is achieved, and that financial wellness is achieved because of your personal finance management in the right way. So that comes about the conceptual clarity about the financial wellness and financial literacy. Now I get into the PowerPoint mode regarding as far as the financial, this COVID-19 pandemic situation is concerned. The share screen is made so that there would be screen available with you also. You can also get to the help of the so that it is visible properly. I hope that the screen is available to all of you. I think so. Yeah. So this COVID-19 outbreak, it was in December 2019 for the first time. That means in the city of Wuhan in China, and it started spreading to human beings. And as far as India is concerned, it was traced on January 30th this year, 2020. Following that, India was reeling under COVID-19 pandemic in a more serious situation. And looking up the statistics, we can see the world total cases reported touched 68 lakhs. So it is very close to 70 lakhs. And the total death globally, it is reaching 4 lakhs count. And as far as India is concerned, 2.30 lakhs of the total cases reported, and the total deaths is 6,300. In India, even though the situation was well managed in the beginning, but towards the end, I think the situation has gone out of proportions. And you can say the total 20% of the cases is reported in the city, in the city of Bombay. Maharashtra is the worst hit. We can see a lot of things back in the media, etc., like that only. But on comparing the death rate among the top 10 nations globally, we can see the Belgium having the highest 16% of the total cases reported were dead, coming into France, UK, and yes, that standard we can say the world, the 6.6% is the death rate as against the total cases reported. And India's case, it would be half, around 3%, like that. And coming into the cases in different states, as on yesterday's date, you can the Maharashtra, 78,000 cases have been reported as against the total death of 2,700. Gujarat, 18,000 total cases reported against the death of 1,100 and something. Then comes Tamil Nadu, Delhi, Rajasthan. So we can say that total 4 lakh cases are there in India, resulting into the deaths of 6,400, like that only. So this case also is going to little bit increase. We can see by the way in which the media, we get the information from the media, we can get that means the situation is not getting into control. Maybe let us hope for the best. That means it can be controlled. A vaccine for this pandemic has been invented so early so that the situation can be controlled, not only in India, but globally. Now, what would be the immediate effect of this situation? We can say the consequences are business shutting down. We can say from the March onwards, the most of the businesses have been shutting down for the last 3 months. Dip in profits of the companies. Most of the companies, even the listed companies and the unlisted companies, even the small firms in the formal economy as well as the informal economy, the profits have been affected. Shrinking income of citizens. Both in the organized sector, we can gather from the media that most of the companies also put layoff. Maybe that has been asked for people to leave the organization. So there would be a lot of shrinking income of citizens and collapse of the MSMEs, the micro, small, medium enterprises. That is the backbone of Indian economy. And we can say that is the biggest collapse we can see in various MSME clusters in India. And the spike in unemployment, the unemployment rate has been highest. Maybe we can say maybe it has touched yesterday's newspaper. It was telling that it is around 7 to 8% in India. And the tourism industry is in turmoil, the very, very, very difficult situation. India has been an attraction of various tourists also. That has caused maybe some states like Kerala and all, the tourism is a big hit, and that has been affected very badly. And finally, the reduced taxes for the government. We can see the fiscal deficit is going to increase highly. Maybe some of the economists were thinking that it may even touch 7%. So likewise, the depleted taxes for the government, that is also one of the biggest damaging or consequences. Now, the impact on economy, we can see how the globally, how we put it as far as India is concerned. As the global economy is concerned, the Asian Development Bank has done a study, and it reveals that the global economy is going to suffer. Maybe 8.8 trillion US dollars is going to reduce. That means around 9.7% of the global GDP would be coming. That is minus like that only. We can say that the global GDP comes around over 85 to 90 trillion US dollars, etc. And to that extent, that would be reduced to some 82 trillion. And Indian GDP is also expected to contract 9% in financial year 2021. That is this financial year, as per economics experts' views. And the recently CRISIL has come with a study. It says that there would be a permanent loss of 4% of the GDP in India. And International Labour Organization that also conducted a study. It says the poverty ratio may double in India. That is also biggest as far as the development economics is concerned. And let me look at the Gujarat economy, how the COVID influence, how it can influence. As far as the Gujarat economy is concerned, the population comes around 6.22 crore, and the GDP is 16.7 lakh crores, and per capita income is 2.51 lakhs. Though these indicators, GDP and per capita income, that it fares better as compared to all other states in India is concerned. You can say nationally the per capita income is around 1.5 lakhs, and whereas the Gujarat per capita income is 2.51 lakhs, much ahead of compared to all other states. And looking at the sectoral contribution to GDP, we can say industry, the percentage of the state domestic product, 53% comes from industry, manufacturing, and service 37%, agriculture 10%. Looking at nationally, we can say that nationally it is only 17% as far as the manufacturing manufacturing sector is compared to the national GDP like that only. Yes, against the nationally 17%, Gujarat 53% comes from industry, and service 37%, agriculture 10%. Here there is an opportunity as far as the COVID-19 situation is concerned. Here there is an opportunity because the media reports, global media reports, like many of them, FDI, the foreign direct investment that has been gone to China, that may come because globally the entrepreneurs are not quite interested in setting up the plants in China. So that way India can attract, and if it comes, the FDI comes to India, definitely Gujarat is the one important destination where it is maybe industrial friendly policies are put in place. So definitely that opportunity Gujarat can take it up. And recent study by SBI Research, it says Gujarat lost 8.6% in GDP due to COVID-19. That is nearly 9% of the GDP is going to be affected. Since firms withdrawing from China, Gujarat can attract FDI in manufacturing. Now let us look at what are the packages announced by Government of India. On 12th May 2020, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has announced a package of rupees 20 lakh crores to move out of the situation created by the lockdown due to COVID-19 situation. And this overall package is titled as Atmanirbhar Bharat, or we can say that Self-Reliant India campaign, and with the different components. There are different packages within this Self-Reliant India. And the total of the government announced rupees 3 lakh crores worth of collateral-free loan for the MSME segment. Yes, I told already, MSME segment, the micro, small and medium enterprises, this segment is the backbone of Indian economy, and the government is right in announcing a special package to strengthen this MSME sector. And this package includes rupees 3 lakh crores worth of collateral-free, that is with no securities required, for loan of 4-year tenure for firms, along with a moratorium of 10 months and 100% credit guarantee benefiting 45 lakh MSMEs. That it means even the small firms, that means no firm registered as a micro enterprise or registered as a small enterprises or medium enterprises, they can access to commercial banks for getting a loan of even 20 lakhs, up to 20 lakhs without any collateral. That means, and that loan is completely guaranteed by Government of India by setting up a separate credit guarantee fund. So it is estimated 45 lakh MSMEs are going to benefit out of this loan scheme. And then another 20,000 crores has been earmarked as a subordinated debt to help around 2 lakh stressed MSMEs. That is better off MSMEs like that only. It does not come these micro enterprises, but small and medium enterprises that have been suffering because of the lack of working capital, etc. Such MSMEs are going to get maybe a total of 20,000 crores has been allocated as a subordinated debt. Then comes an equity infusion. The government has allocated 50,000 crores into viable and eligible MSMEs that may come through SIDBI, Small Industries Development Bank of India, because SIDBI has already got an equity support to the MSMEs that way to strengthen the capital, not only the seed capital, but also pumping into capital into the viable MSMEs. And another very, very important feature of this MSME segment that the government has announced is redefining the sector. So previously, the criteria was investment in plant and machinery. But when we look at the MSMEs globally like that only, this definition has been very, very outmoded. Globally, the MSME is defined as in terms of employment creation, in terms of even turnover like that. When we looking at the global situation, we are also going to the path of globalization. And that way, we have redefined MSMEs. And under this new definition, I think a micro enterprises, the turnover can go up to 5 crore. Small enterprises, the turnover can go up to 50 crores and up to 100 crores as far as the medium enterprise is concerned. So this redefinition of MSMEs is going to help them in terms of scaling up their operations as well as in contributing to the economy in multiple ways. Now let me enter into the financial wellness. So whatever happened during the last 3 years, Dr. Kamini Shah has in her introduction has already told that means during the last 4 months, untold suffering has gone into the hands of all the people, the lower strata of the society, below poverty line people, the middle class people, and it has touched almost all segment of the population like that. So what we need, there is a confusion, there is a concern, whether what would be the next something, whether it would be contained or it would be spread in a more like that only. So under this situation, owing to job loss and business failure, the citizens suffered huge loss to the income and assets. The many people lost, especially the people of Gujarat who have been investing, with have a very good investment in the stock market. Their capital has been eroded heavily, and also not only their income, the dividend income or whatever the income they expect from the investment in the financial market, that has been affected badly. Job security threatened in many cases, both in informal and informal sector. We can say that the informal sector, that is the parallel economy like that only, it has been the worst hit. Maybe the rickshaw pullers, maybe the transport operators, maybe the restaurants, etc. like that only. The vanishing of the business during the last 4 months. So likewise, even the organized sector, there were lots of job cuts. So job security threatened in many cases. And retail investors lost heavily due to stock market crash. Now let us discuss the financial wellness thoughts like that, mainly what we can do as far as to protect the interest of the households, maybe a small family. The first is budgeting. In any financial literacy session, we can say the budgeting is very, very, very important. First, we should know where we are going to do, etc. The need for budgeting exercise for every household, how much earnings, how much expenditure, and how much to save. So normally we can say that means any financial literacy session, that income minus expenditure is equal to savings. So that is the common definition. Income minus expenditure is equal to savings. But even the financial literacy pundit says that that definition would be changed as income minus savings is equal to expenditure. That means first to save and then the spend like that only. But however, Indians naturally, even though Indians are savings savvy, but there would be very difficult because we cannot postpone whatever the expenditure, the necessary expenditure, something like that. But what we need as a commandment in the financial wellness rate like that, we should have a very, very, very good clarity on our income, how much we are going to earn from various sources. One is salary sources, even so the business income sources, agricultural sources, even tuition income, something like that, who are depending upon the tuition, something like that. So accordingly, we like to have a very good idea about the expenditure and savings. And cut down the expenditure, you can say the financial literacy need versus wants. That is a theory in financial planning. The need for expenditure control so as to safeguard the future uncertainties. The theory needs and versus wants remain valid in COVID times, etc. like that. Because we can say we need a telephone. in summer, and we want an AC. So likewise, telephone is a need, whereas AC is a comfort, wants, etc. like that. This is only quite an example in financial literacy sessions. So this need versus wants theory should be revisited in these COVID-19 difficult times, etc. So that we need to save whatever the best, whatever the possible, and accumulate it separately. That will help us in difficult times such as COVID. COVID-19 is the first time, that means globally, that means a situation, a reality check on that is emergency, the requirement of the emergency fund that is required, etc. Because this reality, that is COVID-19 situation, may come in different forms, definitely in our life cycle. The third one is digital transactions. I think COVID-19 situation has eye-opened everybody, like that they are not getting the newspaper, then definitely they will have to go to online in getting the newspaper. Even they cannot visit the bank branches, etc. Definitely they will have to do the online financial transaction. So even though under the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government during the under Jan Dhan Yojana scheme, etc., lot of digital literacy has been spread, how to access through the mobile network, etc., how to transfer fund. It is a good like that. So in this COVID-19 situation, we need to familiarize with online transactions. The topmost priority, since physical contact with the banking institutions appear difficult. Those who are left out of this digital journey, this is the right time to familiarize with opening an UPI. So maybe accordingly they will have to be familiarized with the technology, very, very, very small, easy to familiarize technology, so that the banking transaction can be done with the mobile device and internet connection. Now comes about the fourth, health insurance. You know, our the socialistic pattern of society, I think there are basic three needs: food, shelter, and clothing. Roti, kapda, or makan. Now there is a reality like that the fourth has come, that is bima, insurance. So after food, shelter, clothing, insurance is a basic necessity like that. Unfortunately, in India, insurance has been treated as an investment product and not as a risk management product. This is financial literacy. We need to educate the people like that. Getting into insurance is a basic necessity. It is an expenditure that should be built in every household financial planning like that only. At the time of maybe getting into life insurance, getting into a mediclaim, getting your vehicle insured, getting the assets in your house, household assets in your house insured, etc. So that way, a little bit of premium as an expenditure to be devoted like that. For example, the need for term insurance. Term insurance is not popular in India, but it is quite popular in other developed economies, etc. And very recently, etc., maybe the small premium, even at the age of 24, 25, a premium of less than 500 per month will take care of, even for a 1 crore term insurance. Your dependents would be very, very much, would be safe guarded if the household, maybe the breadwinner, enter into a term insurance that will protect the whole family. So the health insurance is very, very, very important. The fifth one is emergency fund. Maybe if I am asked to rank among these 10 commandments, I may say that this is the fifth one. Emergency fund is the most important one. That is creating an emergency fund, most significant, a lesson learned during COVID-19 times, etc. And how much is the emergency fund required? Because there are lots of maybe debates on this like that. But what I suggest is an amount equivalent to 1 or 2 months your gross salary to be maintained as bank deposit to manage the uncertainty. You accumulate it separately and convert it into a fixed deposit in a bank or something like that. As similar situation just like COVID-19, when our income is affected, or when there will be an unexpected, maybe some hospitalization incident has come, etc. like that, we can get access to this emergency fund. Now we can say most of the people, they are borrowed, and even the rural areas, even some cases of the suicide, etc. has come into the media. So definitely such kinds of unpleasant situation can be avoided if we plan household financial planning in advance by putting in place an emergency fund. Now the sixth is asset allocation. In the financial market, how much we totally saved in various financial assets. So it can be in gold, it can be in equity assets, it can be in insurance. So it can be in a very bank fixed deposit, etc. like that. But here, that asset allocation theory that in finance says that it should be diversified. Maybe you can put 4 quadrants, 25% in gold, 25% in bank fixed deposit, 25% in stock market, 25% in other, maybe the bonds, public sector undertaking bonds or NBFC, fixed deposits, etc., something like that. So your overall investment in financial assets should be revisit. This is the time. So the risk-reward quantum theory is before, etc. That is, when we take more risk, there would be more reward. But that risk-reward theory is very, 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 very imminent as now, etc. We need to reduce the risk like that. Even though risk and reward goes definitely equally proportionately, etc., but we need to have a little bit departure, etc. Don't take too much risk, as we can say like that. Stock market in India has been maybe around 35% crash of BSE Sensex since March 2022, like that only. So under such a kinds of the situation, we need to say that the risk is to be minimized, and we should have an overall revisit to our financial investment. So we call it as a portfolio rebalancing to be exercised. So previously I used to propagate that 50% of our financial assets should be put in stock market. But this is the right time. That means we should have only 25% investment in as far as this stock market is concerned. And we would like to increase our portfolio as far as bank fixed deposit is concerned. And there is an euphoria in the last union budget. The government of India has increased the deposit insurance as far as the banks are concerned like that. So the deposit insurance has been increased from 1 lakh to 5 lakhs like that only. So if somebody who gets retired, etc., a retiree has got a 15 lakhs as a financial asset like that, definitely he can put 5 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 5 lakhs into 3 banks and like that. So accordingly, that the 15 lakhs, even if the banks fail, etc., the Deposit Insurance Corporation of India, that will make the compensated the entire 15 lakhs like that. So we need to ensure that your money you save, money you invested should be utmost safe, because this is the time to rethink. That means we cannot wait for any uncertainty or any chances. So you can see this is it's a pie chart that I recommend. That means asset allocation, 50% should be in bank fixed deposits, and 25% can be equity investment, and the remaining 25% can be in the bonds, in NBFC deposits, or in the gold, etc. That way definitely we can go ahead. Now the seventh one is the equity investors, especially the investors of the Gujarat. That would be most affected as far as the equity investment is concerned. The stock markets crashed by 30%, and in certain sectors up to 80%. In one segment in the stock market is the banking stock, the public sector banks, as well as some of the private sector banks. Even the ICICI Bank share was 525, something like that. It came down that way to 350, maybe eroded 75%, up to 80% in many cases. The stock market overall crashed by 30-35%, and some segment 80%. But recently we can see recovery. Last 1 week, I think there has been a good recovery. And yesterday I have been analyzing the global situation, etc., like that only. The recovery of most of the global stock indices, the Dow Jones, and the recovery is most effective. When I say that, means it is in Japan. The Japanese stock market has recovered almost, I think, 80% like that. But Indian stock market has recovered only 55%, etc. Even that 45% is loss is there. But definitely we will have to go along with the global line. When the global stock market, stock indices can recover very fast, etc., the recovery in India also would be. And we got lots of lessons in the global financial crisis we had in 2008. I remember in 2008, the BSE Sensex has crashed to 8,000, like that, from a very high to 8,000. That 8,000 BSE Sensex in 2008 has moved to 42,000 in 2022. We can see 2008 and 2020, within 12 years, it has multiplied into 5 times. So this is the magic of the stock market sector. We need patience. If we acquire the patience, definitely our total investment can be multiplied. So likewise, that 2008 financial crisis, here in 2020, because of the COVID-19 situation also, the stock market crash, that this recovery can be very well. Even many of the pundits in the stock market has projected 2 to 3 years for the recovery like that. But the way in which the global markets behave during the last few weeks, I hope that means we can get back into even within 1 year as far as the Indian stock market is concerned. And another segment of the retail investors are concerned are mutual funds. Mutual funds NAV depreciated heavily. Even whatever the erosion in the stock market, erosion as well as the banking segment, etc. It has been very mutual funds have been depreciated heavily. Whatever the stock market developments, that would be truly reflected in the NAV of the mutual funds like that. Many of the SIPs, the systematic investor plan, which is negative 20-25% negative it is going, but we need patience. Maybe after 1 year or something like that, even before that, this NAV would become positive, and accordingly the retail investors can be protected. So investment in equity should always be long term, say above 5 years. So this is another lesson that means I need to give to the investors like that only. Whatever you are, don't get into the stock market immediately for 1 year or 2 year, etc. Even stock market behaves in one calendar year, we can see there will be 5 or 6 big high and low, etc. So we, as a prudent investor, we should buy low and sell high. That should be the basic principle as far as a stock market investor is concerned. For example, now this is a good time to purchase some of the shares like that. And that shares, if you purchase and hold it for 5 months, hold it for 6 months, etc., you can see that like that. But if you wanted to be an investor in the stock market, be there at least for 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, etc., you would be really. You can see the statistics give to us. You look at the BSE Sensex, it was set up in 1979 with the base as a 100. That 100 as a BSE Sensex set in 1979 has reached 40,000, 42,000 in 2020. So all over these years, with the Excel, we can see that the compounded annual growth rate, CAGR of BSE Sensex is 14%. That is per annum, the BSE Sensex have returned 14,000. What more you require? You can see the fixed deposit interest rate today is only around 6%. So from that 6%, here it is about double. Here is a asset class. If you got patience, if you got a little bit, maybe we can put your investment for a long years, then definitely you, the investor, deserve not less than 14% CAGR, yes, evidenced through the BSE Sensex movement from 1979 to 2020. So the current meltdown is expected to recover within 2 to 3 years, but I feel mentioned that is true because the way in which the global stock indices are recovered, etc., I think maybe within 1 year. But even the COVID situation is further aggravated than only situation. So what we require at the present time is patience, patience, and patience. So this is lesson from 2008 global crisis. The BSE, this I have already explained to you. It rebounds to above 40,000 within 12 years, 5 times multiplication of your financial assets. So look at the biggest single day Sensex crashes during the last years. Whatever the crashes Sensex has crashed, I have documented here. We can see the 23rd March 2020 due to COVID-19 situation, the BSE Sensex has crashed 13.15%. That has been the biggest as far as the history of India is concerned. The second biggest was during the Harshad Mehta scam, 12.77%. Then before that, the US financial crisis 2008, 10.95%. So with the 10.9% US financial crisis, the 12.77% down when the Harshad Mehta scam in 1992, and now the 13.15% during the COVID-19 situation. These are the historical situation like that. So definitely this type of situation we can definitely overcome. We need more patience. So as far as the equity investors are concerned, diversify your portfolio so as to have stocks in larger segments. Always, if you got 10 lakhs, invest in the stock market, ensure that 10 lakhs is 2.5 lakhs each in 4 segments. Banking stocks, insurance stocks, pharma, FMCG, cement, auto, PSUs, etc. like that only. We can see the pharma stocks has been the most benefited out of the COVID-19 situation. Even this COVID-19 situation, one of the pharma companies I recollect, it is Aurobindo Pharma. It has just increased by 100%. It was running around 350 in March towards the end. Now the price is 760 or something like that. But at the same time, currently it is not advisable to put in the pharma companies, etc., because already it is appreciated like that only. But you can continue, those who hold, you can continue like that only. And some other banking stocks have showed very good recovery during the last 1 week, etc. And there is a possibility that the banking stocks are expected to increase. Likewise, all other general indices, it has come down heavily, the 30-35%, etc. So that recovery and 50% recovery has already happened like that. Another 15 to 20% recovery we are expecting within the next 6 months period. So this is the movement of the BSE Sensex from, I think, 30,000. It was on, I think, 7th April. Now it is 33,000. It is a good improvement as far as the movement of the BSE Sensex is concerned. Hope to achieve that BSE Sensex would again regain around 42,000, but once it move. And diversify your portfolio, that is already discussed. Now the 8th commandment in financial wellness thoughts is wise borrowing. Borrow, borrow, borrow. Yes, the Shakespeare once told, neither a borrower nor a lender. So that is the best thing like that. So borrowing may bring a lot of tensions like that. Only recently we can say the government of India has announced a moratorium. All those who are remitting their EMIs, etc., due to COVID-19 situation, the remittance of the EMI has been affected. The government extended for the 3 months and further extended another 3 months or 6 months moratorium. In many banks, I think from 30% to 60% of the clients, they have already availed this moratorium, etc. But if you can afford to pay the EMIs, better to pay the EMIs, don't avail the moratorium. This is what I wanted to tell to the entrepreneurs community like that only, because if you prolong, if you make it delayed, the EMI, etc., there would be interest on that one. That interest, further interest, penal interest, etc., will take you more liabilities, etc. So always understand the interest burden on long-term loans and minimize the borrowing. Don't get into the personal loans. It may come with 20%, 22% interest, etc. But if you can try to manage your personal finance in a much better, with the minimum borrowing, that would be good. And always another thing I would like to know, long-term borrowing, housing loan. The housing loan, we can see it would be around 15 years or to 20 years time, etc. But you need to pay as interest more than what the principal amount like that. So your interest burden would be more and more, even though the housing loan, the interest has come down to 8.25%, etc. like that. But the total interest that you are going to pay. So better you prepayment is almost one of the ways in which we can minimize the borrowing liability like that. So wise borrowing is to be resorted in the COVID-19 situation today. And the 9th commandment is beware of the scams. So scams has been one of the very bad things in the financial market. So even after Sharada scam or one scam or other, we can say this criminal mind is working throughout in the financial market. They are very much specialized. So your hard-earned money should not be invested in Ponzi schemes. Scamsters may lure you by offering higher returns. Your total investment in the financial market can be doubled even within 1 year or 2 years, etc. Don't believe anything. You can say the best return that you can from the stock market can be something around 10%, 12%. And from the NBFC segment, fixed deposit can be 8 to 9%. From the commercial bank, fixed deposit, it can be 6 to 7%. So within that region, your mindset also, with the COVID-19 situation, it has taught us. That means our mindset, be satisfied that a 7% interest return from your bank fixed deposit is much, etc. And never be greedy. If you are greedy, if you look forward a much 10%, 12%, 20%, the scamsters may get into your investment portfolio. So that way, your hard-earned money should be well protected and do away with Ponzi schemes. And the 3rd commandment is guard yourself from cyber frauds. Because as well as the digital financial literacy has been much promoted by Government of India, Reserve Bank of India, and all commercial banks, etc., we can say that as with the advancement of the technology in India, the advancement of the digital literacy, etc., simultaneously, there happened creating more about cyber frauds. Cyber security is the responsibility of Reserve Bank of India now. Lots of investment, lots of resource studies have been conducted in like that only. Maybe because of the lots of crimes under cyber frauds has been increasing. So these fraudsters may approach you to get your bank details. They will get into your password, etc., to solicit entry into your bank accounts. So you will be getting an email as if it is written by Reserve Bank of India governor, or you will be getting an email as if that email is originated from the chairman of a bank or the CEO of a bank, etc., seeking your, maybe you press a link. Once you press the link, once you give your bank details, etc., automatically the scamsters or the fraudsters may get entry into your savings bank account. So always discourage such kinds of unsolicited emails, unsolicited telephone calls, etc. like that. Discourage any such calls. Protect your bank details and passwords. So let me like to conclude this financial wellness thoughts like that means to tide over from the crisis, we must be financially literate to manage our own personal finance. To manage, you may be rich, you may be poor, or you may be getting into a very good sound financial position. But whatever may be your financial status, your net worth, etc., you need financial literacy. Financial literacy or financial education, it is a continuous journey. We cannot stop it like that because we need more and more financial products are getting into the financial market, the most complicated products, etc. like that. Under such a situation, we should know what. For example, even mutual fund sahi hai. This is the advertisement that we get from the TVs, etc. like that. So mutual fund investment, that is also most risky because we can see the NAV of the many mutual fund schemes, that is even maybe negative 20%, 30%, etc. something like that. So definitely understand the risk properly, understand the reward properly, understand your affordability. So risk, reward, and affordability, how much a risk appetite you are there. Accordingly, you manage your personal finance. And I already told like that the ultimate objective of this management of your personal finance is financial wellness. So ensure continuance of our livelihood. That is the number one as far as in the COVID-19 situation. Whatever our jobs, whether it is in the formal economy or the informal economy, try to retain your job. And the second one is take advantage of the government jobs. The government has announced many schemes. And before announcement of this COVID package, etc., they have some maybe whatever the Janthan accounts like that. The government has started remitting some cash transfers. So that is the direct one. But many of the government soaps that declared, etc., it is not a direct benefit transfers, but through government loans, etc. So even MSME, micro, small and medium enterprises, even those NRIs who are coming abroad from the Gulf countries or something, etc., they can definitely set up a business, whatever the business of their choice, etc. And they can get without any security up to 20 lakhs loan. With the 20 lakhs loan and with another 10 lakhs their equity, definitely we can start up a business of 30 lakhs like that. So take advantage of the government shops, whatever the government incentive. The third one, practice hygiene and new culture. So COVID-19 situation that has taught us a lesson. Practice hygiene. So definitely the people around, etc., should practice. So definitely wearing the mask and maybe maintaining the minimum hygiene conditions. That would be the order of the day when we move ahead. Then become digital friendly. So not only banking digital transaction, but in and around through internet penetration, we need to practice how digital friendly we are, even the reading newspapers, in accessing any information, any data. So definitely that is another lesson that we are going to learn. Then constitute emergency fund, as I already told, 1 or 2 months of your salary, you put it separately, don't touch it. You touch in such an emergency situation, just like a COVID-19 situation, where your salaries are affected, where your income or earnings are affected. So the need for an emergency fund is reiterated here. Then another financial product is NPS, National Pension System. I think some of you may please look into the rate of return of the NPS system when the NAV of the mutual funds, the NAV, net asset value of the SIPs, etc., mutual fund scheme, etc., has hit in a bigger manner. You can see that National Pension System, the NPS, that is managed by PFRDA, the government of the government agency, the pension fund regulator, that has not affected during the COVID-19 situation. Investment in NPS gives you around about 8%, 8 to 9%, but it is going to come down maybe 7 to 8% next year because of the general southward march of the interest rate. So likewise, I request everybody, that means that this is a situation that our investment maybe 10% or whatever savings can be diverted to NPS, National Pension System. There are two schemes, Tier 1, Tier 2. Just to put it to Tier 1 situation, there is no compulsion like that. You can pay 1,000 this month, next month you can pay 2,000, next month you can reduce it to another something like that. So that may accumulate. The only condition that investment in NPS, National Pension System, is that you can withdraw it only when you reach the age of 60. And from the 60 also, if you do not want the money, you can definitely postpone till the age of 65 or 70 like that. The purpose of National Pension System is to get you a big relief when you get a social security when you get retired. So after 60, you will be getting monthly pensions out of the corpus of this NPS system. So enroll early in NPS system. This is the advice I want to give those with the youngsters, even the middle people, those who are nearing the retirement situation also. NPS will ensure that your money is absolutely safe because it is government of India that is managing this corpus. Then diversify your investment portfolio. Yes, within your stock market investment also, even as I told already, 25% your total financial investment should be within stock market, and that 25% should be 25%, 25%, 25%, put it into 4 sub segments, maybe banking stocks, insurance stocks, IT stocks, maybe auto stocks, cement stocks, etc. So likewise, diversify investment portfolio. That ultimate objective is to minimize the risk. Then reduce exposure in equity. We can say that means a overall situation, because already some people may be having, I know many of my friends who are having 100% of their investment in equity, 100% of their investment, etc. So this is the right time like that only. Don't be greedy. So definitely, if those who can take high risk appetite, that should be restricted to 50%. Generally, I recommend 25% should be your allocation in equity. But those who wanted to take those who hold high risk appetite, they also should restrict it to 50% likewise. And finally, minimize the borrowing. So try to reduce the borrowings, but there will be situation in which borrowing is required, etc. And even at the borrowing, see the conditions like that, how much interest and how much the EMIs, how are the hidden charges. So all these things should be taken into account. So that way financial wellness can be achieved. So thank you so much for giving this opportunity. That definitely now we can get into the question answer mode.
So thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
And there are many questions. I am asking selected questions which has asked by the participants, sir.
Yeah.
The first question is, which type of job opportunities will be available for career in financial sector after COVID-19? And which types of courses one should pursue and encourage students even to pursue?
So can I answer? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, as the job opportunity in the financial sector is concerned, I think it is many, I can say. Maybe as a financial, an academician staying in the financial sector for the last many years, what I have said that in the financial sector, especially the banking sector, as well as the stock market sector, as well as the NBFC sector, there are lots of opportunities available. And even the commercial banking sector also, you can see all these banks recruit in hundreds, in thousands is a commercial banks in India. And that is only a very stereotype IBPS, Institute of Banking Personnel Selection. That is generally they go through some reasoning, general knowledge, arithmetic, like that only. So only merit is the matter like that. Once you master this IBPS selection like that only, based on the rank, they would be called for the interview. So there is an easy way like that. And also even you can say you can get into the regulators. Reserve Bank of India recruits every year. Even security, now Securities and Exchange Board of it is still open. You can go to the website, you can say that they recruit assistant managers like that only. So they require a sophisticated knowledge and skills. For example, I have gone through that SEBI, what they want is that means a thorough knowledge on the financial market is required. Not only the objective type questions would be asked, but descriptive types would be how the banking sector functions, what are the KYC norms, etc. Who are the players in this field? What are the institutional mechanism? What are the products and services available? What are the interest rate, etc. like that. So these people, those who are the financial market participants, they expect a high level of not only knowledge, but a skills in you. So that way, definitely when you get into an MBA finance or MBA marketing or even MBA HR, so specialization is not a bar, etc. Because the financial market organization, they need an MBA, and within that one, even MBA marketing can go to sales, Even MBA finance can go to operations, definitely. MBA HR can go back to the back office and all like that only. So what I need means you should have, while pursuing the MBA, simultaneously try to get into one or two additional qualifications. For example, I am from NISM. NISM certifications are there. So there are 22 NISM certification. Definitely one can acquire without much trouble, sitting in the place in Anand or sitting in Ahmedabad, etc. Within 2 months' time, you can acquire, and the cost of acquisition is very low, 1,500 rupees within 2 months, etc. With the soft copy of the material, self-learning, definitely. Let's look at the IBPS. Not IBPS, I think there is some CAAB, JAAB examinations, that is for bankers. They also announced some certificate examination in the banking, etc. So that way, Indian Institute of Banking and Finance. So IIBF, they also. So likewise, while doing your MBA program or BBA program, try to acquire some additional qualification that will help you in two ways. One is acquisition of knowledge. Number two, when you are in the interview board, you come with additional certification, etc. You will be getting an edge, etc. So what I am telling that in the financial market, these banking institutions, both in the public sector as well as the private sector, and the banking regulators, and likewise in the insurance sector, IRDA, a lot of insurance companies are there like that. In the securities market, lots of intermediaries are, stock exchanges, even the brokerage houses, even some of the multinational MNC brokerage houses are there, and some of the merchant bankers, they got good. And if you got a research skill, definitely there is your earnings you can expect is unlimited like that. And to get into the research, you should have a financial modeling, a technical knowledge which is required. There are lots of training institutions that gives separate training, especially on financial modeling, etc. like that. So knowledge is power. So then your opportunities also is unlimited. So definitely that way your career can be bright in the financial market. Yes, please.
There is one more question, that what will be the impact on Indian capital market due to COVID-19, because production sales have been affected a lot.
Yeah. So Indian capital market, as I already told you, the 50% recovery has been already made during the last 2 weeks time, like that only. And this 20% recovery was also unexpected, like that only. And when it came to me, the 50% recovery, then I did some research, global indices, etc. yesterday, and I could see that means even 80% recovery has been made by Japanese stock market. And even the US, which has been reeling heavily under the COVID situation, and the Dow Jones and the S&P 500, the stock market indices has maybe recovered 60 to 70%. So that way, Indian stock market also, what I feel means the recovery would be maybe within the next 6 months to 1 year, the stock market would be back like that. And the stock market is always, you can say that means sensitive. The movement, etc. It may not be directly linked to the way. Now you can see the Reliance Industries, that has been much because of the geo investment, the geo, lot of attractions, if people are concerned, etc. So that has already gone beyond whatever the recovery has been, more than maybe 10% more than what it was there already, like that. So what I can say, that likewise the investment coming overseas, FIIs, foreign institutional investment, etc. Money is going to be, and India is going to be an emerging market. So definitely, because of the less popularity of the Chinese economy, and most of the European countries, most of the US, the overseas investors would be finding in which the India is a good market, etc. But there would be definitely, our credit rating has been affected badly during the last few weeks, etc. And our overall economy, the fiscal deficit, there would be some constraints in the initially. But definitely, what we are there, our stock market is going to come back soon, maybe within next 6 to 9 months, etc. Back to this BSE Sensex for 40,000, etc. like that only. So don't be bad about, be positive. Be optimistic, so that Indian stock market cannot be isolated from the global stock market. If the global indices are marching towards, then definitely Indian stock market also will have to go, because globalization, we are insulated to the global economy much more than what we were during the last 20 years back. Please.
Then next question is, Atmanirbhar Yojana will increase financial burden to government, and that burden transfer to banks and NBFC. Will it enhance NPA?
No. NPA has been managed by Indian banks well, because for the first time, I think 2019-20, the gross NPA has been restricted to below 9%, something 8%, etc. But this COVID-19 situation has come unexpected. So that is the why the banking stocks have hit badly during the last 3 months or 4 months, etc. Something like that. So what I feel is that means definitely Atmanirbhar, the economists argue for direct benefit transfer, DBT. But the government of the 20% of the GDP what they claim or something like that, or those 20 lakh crores that they gave like that, means only around maybe 1 lakh crore is only DBT, direct benefit transfer. The remaining, I think, huge, around 18 lakh crore comes through the NABARD, comes through the SIDBI, comes through the national commercial banks window, etc. like that. That way, it is not going to affect our fiscal deficit highly, but fiscal deficit is mainly affected because of the lesser revenue that India is. That means our tax revenue would be very less, etc. So this Atmanirbhar Abhiyan package is not going to cause, because the government was very cautious, finance minister and prime minister was very cautious that let us limit our DBT, direct benefit transfer, to the minimum extent possible and try to provide the institutional mechanism, the best financial infrastructure through the commercial banks, etc. like that. Maybe that way they ensure that the liquidity to the banking system is increased, so that way they pump money to the people for entrepreneurship. So that way they wanted the development model to happen.
Okay. Then
Yes.
one more question is, what would be the scenario of Indian higher education?
You see, the scenario of Indian higher education is not going to affect it, definitely, because COVID-19 situation is common to all segments, all situations like that. And now if COVID, a vaccination for COVID is found out soon or something, it may be in this financial year, this academic year, I can say that means even 2020-21, this academic year, we need to have some sacrifices. We need to resort to some Zoom or online taking the classes, etc., something like that. But never, don't depend 100% or online classes, etc. That will not affect, etc. So that way, Indian higher education will have to bear sufferings for the few months, maybe maximum for maybe around 6 months, and after that, we will be getting into the old mode. So definitely, Indian higher education system is part of the global higher education system. So we are not isolated singly like that. So definitely, this is only COVID-19 situation. Just like any sector is affected, that way the higher education sector is affected. Yeah.
Okay. Then one more question is, what will be the role of SEBI resource person for spreading financial literacy in the new normal? Because now physical distancing and all this situation are there, no?
You see, SEBI, now I get a feeling that SEBI has also scaled down their financial education resource person program. And one of the reasons what SEBI, I had a discussion with the department, and what they are telling that this NCFE has come, National Center for Financial Education. And initially I told, while explaining the conceptual clarity of financial literacy in Indian situation as well as the global situation, I told you the role of OECD. So this OECD OECD wanted every country, every government to put in place the financial strategy on financial education. So in India, Ministry of Finance has also put on place the strategy for financial education for India. And that financial education strategy is institutionalized by putting in place National Center for Financial Education, NCF. Now NCFE has come. Now its headquarters in Bombay. Now this NCFE institution is set up by all the four regulators: Reserve Bank of India, SEBI, IRDAI, and PFRDA. So what SEBI is telling that let NCFE take part more of the financial education. So what I get a feeling that the NCFE will be enrolling the resource person. Now there are three bodies like that. Even SEBI is enrolling the resource person for financial education. MCA, that is a Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and their education arm is IICA, Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, placed at Gurgaon area, New Delhi. So they are also empaneling financial education, investor education resource persons likewise. So NCFE also would be getting into the resource person mode soon, and whatever the activities that SEBI was doing, they would be. And SEBI may instead of financial education resource person, SEBI may move into investor education. Maybe only you teach stock market, mutual fund, something like that. So it has not decided, but we may look forward a scenario where SEBI focuses on investor education and NCFE focuses on financial education. So that scenario I am anticipating. Thanks.
Okay. Now, last question I'm taking up.
Yeah.
If some university or college would like to associate with NISM for starting courses of personal financial literacy, how to go about it?
You see, NISM has been entering into MOU with many of the institutions, but now we stopped like that only for some other reason like that only. And what NISM is telling that already it got around 25 certificate examinations. And for putting in place that certificate examination, they have already a set of franchisee, around 200 franchisee all over the country. So even who is somebody sitting in Anand can appear the NISM examination in the one of the engineering colleges or B schools or one IT franchisee, there is a. So likewise, enough infrastructure is created by NISM, enabling the students to acquire certificate examination. So that way, then they are telling us then why we need a separate MOU, etc. But if you can come forth with a separate elaboration that we need a collaboration with NIO for these 3-4 things. One is certificate examination for which your institution can act as a sender. So that you will earn whatever the, maybe the cost sharing also is there like that only. So likewise, if you can enlist some 3-4 programs, then definitely there is a scope for collaborating, entering into an MOU with NISM. That window definitely you can open.
Okay. I mean, whom to approach for that? That is one.
You see, now I think now I think for the next 3 months, I think there is some, because NISM director is not appointed. The SEBI senior officials are in the NISM activity like that. So we are expecting that means a new director would be joining within the next few months. So once that new director, they will be relooking the MOU with all other academic institutes. So wait for 3 months. And after 3 months, definitely we can get into contact with the NISM, and we can go ahead positively.
Okay. Though it was the last question, but sir, one more question I'm seeing in the chat.
Sure.
Somebody is asking that is it right time to take housing loan from bank during COVID-19?
Yeah, definitely. If you can, the repayment capacity is the most important criteria. If you are working in a strong company where your salary, if you feel that your salary is not going to be disturbed, because maybe around 20% of your salary will go as an EMI. So that way, you ensure that your EMI is continuing like that. Then definitely you can go ahead in taking a housing loan. Earlier, it is better because that loan liability can be reduced faster, etc. like that. So that decision can be related only your establishing your repayment capacity.
Okay. So I think we can close the session. Sir, thanks a lot. You have comprehensively covered 10 commandments for financial well-being, and how financial knowledge, skill, attitude, and behavior leads to financial wellness in this crisis time. That has been very well discussed, and I hope I'm seeing comments here in the chat box. Everybody has given positive comments. That means they have taken it as a fruitful session, and they are asking for doing it again with a different relevant topic. So thanks a lot, sir. From Sardar Patel University, our HOD and Dean Professor Sandeep Bhatt sir is conveying his best wishes to you and thanking you for discussing at length the topic. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you so much.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So thank you all the participants for joining with us. We have many participants on YouTube, live session going on, and even Facebook, the session was live. So many participants are with us. Thank you all. Thanks a lot.